is not the trash. While I may not always agree with everything that her co-host says, we are going to have pretty much the new Jordan Peterson on the scene. Since Jordan Peterson is dead or something in Russia, maybe went back, I don't know. He hasn't been seen. The benzos were too much. They got a new guy, and you may recognize him from some videos, but he'll be revealed in a second.
All right, guys, we've got yet another heavy hitter guest and first-time guest on the show, Professor Jiang. He is the star of the popular YouTube channel Predictive History. He uses game theory to analyze past, current, and to predict future geopolitical events.
If you haven't seen this guy's videos popping up lately, your algorithm's better than mine. I can't tell if he is a full-blown grifter or if he believes the things he says, but why did they bring him on here? If you've never seen this man in your life, that's good. What happens is he has usually they'll show a clip. He usually has like a whiteboard, and he's talking, and the first words out of his mouth don't always sound crazy, although sometimes they do. But the longer you stick around, the crazier it gets.
And he joins us now. Professor, great to have you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. So, for people who aren't familiar with your work, I wanted to show folks that back in 2024, you made 3 big predictions. 1, that Trump would win. 2, that he would start a war with Iran. And 3, that the U.S. would lose that war. Let's take a listen to that.
In this class this semester, I'm making 3 big predictions, right? First is that Trump will win in November. Second is that the United States will go to war against Iran. And the third big prediction is that the United States will lose this war, which will forever change the global order.
I don't know if those are like crazy things to predict. Like, because if Trump wins, that's what would have happened. He's an educator. So the vibe of the videos is that he's an educator at like a private school in Beijing or something. Like, it's not an American high school, I don't think, and he's like there to teach American stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So is that real though? So that's the story. But it could very well just be people in a room that he films this with. I don't know.
So obviously that last one is the only one that has not yet come to fruition. Is quite a stunning prediction. Do you stand by it, and what have you seen so far that leads you to sort of stand firm in that conclusion?
So given my analysis of how the war is progressing, I think that Iran has many more advantages over the United States. The reality is that right now, it's a war of attrition between the United States and Iran. And the Iranians have been preparing 20 years for this conflict.
Furthermore, what's even America winning the war mean? We take Iran or something? Like, there's no winning that war. It's an insurgency forever. You're never going to be able to change it. Eventually, you have to pull your shit out, and then it's just the same as always. It's a forever war. These people, like, I can't believe bombing children and these people and seeing their families die in the name of Israel is going to make them steadfast in their defense of their homes and families and revenge and justice. You know what I mean? Like, why do we think there'd be any other outcome than this?
In their eschatology, in their religion, this is a war against the great Satan. They've had many practice runs. Last June was a 12-day war when the Iranians were able to examine and analyze the strike capacities of both the Israelis and the Americans. And they've had a lot of time, 8 months, to prepare fully for this new attack. They, through their proxies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Shia militias, have been able to...
Why are we calling those 100% Iranian proxies? All of them? Maybe I think Iran has like interest in destabilizing Israel, who is trying to destabilize them, and so would have connections with those. Seems weird to call them specifically Iranian proxies.
Really grasp the American mentality, and now they have a pretty good strategy of how to weaken and ultimately destroy the American empire. So what the Iranians are doing is they're waging war against the entire global economy. And so they are striking the GCC countries. And not only are they striking GCC countries, American bases, but they're going after the critical energy infrastructure of these bases. They blocked off the Strait of Hormuz. And eventually, they will go after the water desalination plants, which is the lifeblood of these nations because they don't have fresh water supply. In fact,
Dubai. To some extent, that's good because fuck those governments, and it's obviously bad because of the human cost of innocence in the immediate aftermath and long term. So, but all of that is caused by the destabilization that these billionaire oil baron groups have wrought on the others around them, on their neighbors, just like we do and just like Israel does. It's the same exact thing when you have the UAE sort of on our side. There's lots of oil stuff that goes on, and they don't engage in the same things all the time. But it's pretty tentative. But now, because Iran has been striking these places, there has been obvious upset from those countries: Kuwait, Dubai, etc., UAE, Saudi Arabia. Qatar. The problem with America is, of course, that we're run by idiots, and so we don't have the diplomacy to maintain any of those relationships. We have fucking Mike Huckabee in Israel, which is, he's just a big slob on Netanyahu's knob kind of guy. So I guess that's all they need to keep that relationship going. I don't want to go down the gutter for Israel like we always have. Why can't we not do this?
The water desalination plant provides 60% of the GCC's water supply. So if a drone, and these drones cost $50,000, if they wiped out a desalination plant in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and it's a city of 10 million people, right? They'd be out of water in 2 weeks.
You gotta leave. You can't stay there.
2 weeks. And right now, the Iranians have de facto closed off the Strait of Hormuz, and the GCC gets 90% of its food from the Strait of Hormuz.
Dude, he's not saying anything crazy right now, which is totally fine. Because on his YouTube channel, I heard him talking about, this is today, I think, Sarah was watching Vosh watch this guy, and I constantly, he was talking about the fucking full-on revelations, Gog Magog type shit. This guy's a wacky fella. But this is why I'm saying I don't know if he's a full-on grifter or if he believes this shit, because he has the prescience to load real facts in there, which is if you're good at being a whack job snake oil salesman, you will put real information there so that it feels like your arguments are legitimate. People do this all the time. Tucker Carlson's very good at doing this. Ben Shapiro will do this from time to time. The situation here is he's not wrong about anything. He's just listing true things about, I don't know about the 2 weeks thing but that, sounds true. The numbers, Alex Jones does this kind of shit as well. And then he'll say the craziest shit you ever heard.
So I know a lot of people are talking about the disruptions to the global economy, but right now the Iranians are actually threatening the very existence of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar. And why this is important is that the Gulf states are really the linchpin of the American economy. So what they do is they sell petrodollars and then they recycle the petrodollars back into the American economy through the investments in the stock market. And right now, we know that the entire American economy is propped up by AI investments in data centers. And a lot of that comes from the Gulf states.
By the way, someone on Twitter was like, an Israeli data center got bombed, and suddenly there are fewer bots on Twitter, and there's not a bunch of fake ads underneath the post after saying a bunch of buzzwords and keywords like t-shirt, shrooms. There weren't a bunch of blue check bots underneath after this data center got bombed just like yesterday. So fucking funny, dude. I might be able to find it somewhere. But
So if the Gulf states are no longer able to sell oil, and they're no longer able to finance this AI bubble in the United States, then this AI bubble will burst.
Beautiful. Thank you, please.
And with it, will burst as well as the entire American economy, which is really a financial Ponzi scheme.
Right.
So that's.
Is it a Ponzi scheme? What's exactly a Ponzi scheme? I mean, I'm willing to say that it is definitely a fucking illegal. Let me look at the Ponzi scheme structure. Is it different than? No, it's the same. It's the same as always. That's what I thought. This is sort of true, but instead of people, it is kind of a Ponzi scheme, yes. But there's lots of these. There's more versions of these. Like, you could be in the Pentagon and get part of the big pot and start, getting private airplanes and shit. You could be, a different bucket of money over here, and you could Ponzi scheme it down. Like, sort of. But this is just all of capitalism, really. So that's how capitalism definitely works.
That's a dire situation that the Americans are facing right now.
Yeah. I agree that we will have a bubble pop with the AI, and I suspect that the right wing will then try to do an Obama-style bailout, but maybe not. And then I don't think they would have enough people on board with that spending, and then it would fail, and then people would definitely not be happy with that. Obviously, in the short term, I think your prices go up for everything when it's an oil-based issue, right? Because transportation is shit. So it's good to consider for my audience and everyone's audience. You don't have to freak out or anything because, it's America. We're in the center of the empire. And don't worry, we'll fuck over somebody to make sure Americans' fucking gas is some kind of price. But, certain goods will go up. It wouldn't be bad to learn how to cook some rice or something or shoot a gun.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, sir, an Amazon data center was literally hit in the UAE. And
oh, no, not an Amazon data center. Oh, shit. Not the data centers. Please don't give the coordinates of all the data centers to the Iranians. No! Don't tell Benjamin Netanyahu that Hamas is hiding under the data centers. I would hate to see the data centers get bombed.
now, of course, big tech companies, which were looking at the UAE as a major potential data center.
The biggest problem with that is that we can't take all of the processors that we lost there and all of the fucking graphics cards, and we can't give those to consumers instead. That we have to, now we're just fucked.
Investment hub with cheap and abundant energy, probably going to be rethinking that. We also wanted to talk to you about munitions.
Dude, I wonder if it would have made us a little bit more insulated from this kind of disruption in the global markets if we had diversified ourselves from oil specifically and not been so beholden to the companies that have kept us fucking shackled to this one source of power instead of having multiple. I don't know. Maybe I'm just some kind of fucking lefty crazy guy. Maybe I'm not capitalist enough, but I don't know. It seems a little pragmatic not to fucking... What's that phrase? Don't put all of your chickens in the same blender? Something like that.
We can put this next one up here on the screen.
Because you won't have space for all the chicken goo in the industrial nugget factory.
The United States is racing to accomplish Iran mission before munitions run out.
Of course they are. That's why they keep telling Donald Trump, who has not checked, he doesn't know. I don't think he knows this at all. I think they keep telling him we're going to do this in 2 weeks because they don't have enough fucking...
It's cold.
America does not have the juice to pull off the kind of wars that you need to pull off now to, annihilate someone. It's not the fucking 40s, man. Everyone can see what's happening all the time.
Specifically around interceptor math. There's a famous video just from yesterday in Israel, which shows a single Iranian ballistic missile, which is being targeted by some 11 different interceptors, all of which miss.
That's amazing. I love that Israel is running out of interceptor missiles, and they're not intercepting missiles. The interceptor missiles aren't intercepting missiles anymore. How many interceptor missiles does it take to intercept a missile with an interceptor missile volley?
Most of those come from the United States, not to mention all of the different bases, the GCC countries that you just talked about, and the asymmetry of the cost. It's $1 million for a missile, tens of millions per interceptor in some of these cases. With these munitions running out.
Dude, okay, there's something to be said for the utter lack of respect that these, like Israel, the United States, and other countries that have acted like the British Empire, etc. The utter lack of respect they have for like the fallibility, the mortality of their own selves, and like realistic expectations for their own countries. Like, America is not invincible. I know we always win in the war movie or whatever, or in the video game, but we don't have to. It's not a for sure thing that we just win a war. Like, we haven't won a war ever. The American Revolution, and that wasn't even us winning a war. Other people helped us win that war. The French were there, guys. Like, we didn't do it by ourselves. We didn't win World War II. The Soviets fucking did. We were there. We helped, but late. Spanish-American, maybe? Sort of. Really, we just butchered people. It was just, I mean, the Spanish-American War was just, some of the native cultures had been colonized by the Spanish on that strip down there. And so some of them had comparable arms at that point, which are like 200, 300 years in. Same shit, though. We're just killing brown people. Anyway, and taking their shit.
Now, how does that change the global picture? So you're in China. Obviously, much of the stocks in Asia of the United States are likely to have to be cannibalized if this were to go on. How is that going to affect the global picture here?
Right. So my first point is that the United States military is not designed to fight a 21st century war. Remember, the military-industrial complex came to being after World War II, and it's designed to fight the Cold War. And the Cold War was really about muscle flexing, about who was able to send people up into space, who was to first get the person on the moon, who had the more complex missile systems. And so the entire American military strategy revolves around very sophisticated technology that costs a lot of money to build. And that's what the American air defense system is basically. And that's why we're seeing this asymmetry, as you point out, in this war, where you have these $1 million missiles trying to take out these $50,000 drones. And it's not sustainable in the long term.
But America is the biggest and best, and we can just do it, bro. We're just going to do it. It'll be done soon. Don't even think. It's not even going to matter.
And so what we're seeing is really the puncturing of the aura of invincibility and inevitability that sustained American hegemony for the past 20 years, especially after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And this is really a reordering of not just the global economy, because this signals the collapse of the petrodollar, and with it, the entire US dollar-based reserve currency system.
Ooh, dude, could you imagine if he's not just being too extreme? Like, I don't imagine oil's going to go away overnight. Like, I don't think this is... Like, you'd have to have long-term instability from this specific conflict and conflicts like it to get enough... I mean, I feel like this is not going to happen quick.
But also, the global hegemony of the United States. We're moving towards a multipolar world.
We ought to.
Professor, this morning, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was asked a question about potential ground troops in Iran. God. He refused to rule out...
When was this video? 11 days ago? So 2,500 troops have been put in now. Did I say 8.1 million views? Sheesh, dude. This guy pulled fucking views for them.
That possibility. And he said, oh, well, we're not going to project to you what we will or will not do, but we don't want to, rule anything out. We will do what it takes. Do you think that America will end up invading Iran from the ground, since it's already becoming relatively clear they won't be able to accomplish the goal of regime change or even regime...
Yes, and we will fail. 2,500 fucking soldiers. Good luck, dude.
Collapse using just air power alone.
Right. So everyone says that the worst calamity that could happen in the United States is if it were to send ground troops into Iran. At the same time, the United States are committed to regime change in Iran. We've never had a precedent in history where you were able to regime change from the air alone. You need ground troops. And so unfortunately, what's going to happen over the next few months is that pressure will build on America to send ground troops, especially from the GCC countries and from Israel, which are being pouted right now by
Of course, Israel
the
wants
Iranians.
us to.
So remember that if the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, if they go, then the petrodollar goes with them. So the Americans need to protect these countries, and these countries are going to demand that either the Americans bribe the Iranians to cease, and this is like $5 trillion in indemnity, okay? Or send ground troops to wipe out
$5
the
trillion.
Iranian threat once and for all.
I just imagine, has America ever just been like, whoops, our bad, here's trillions of dollars? There's no chance.
And I know that there's no political will for ground troops to be used against Iran among the American people. But remember that 78% of American people was against initial strikes against Iran in the first place.
Right. And one of the things that really comes into question, I think, with all of this, sir, when we're looking at the geopolitical picture and the
Dude, it's actually kind of, now I'm thinking he's a grifter. He says such crazy shit on his YouTube channel, and I'm agreeing with everything he says. I feel like this is a psyop. He hasn't said anything that I think is egregious at all so far, but like if you go visit his channel, you will become crazy if you agree with him through the whole time. He says genuinely wacky shit.
sacrificing in much of this from the United States on behalf of Israel is kind of a question as to who and what wanted this. We were actually curious.
Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump do not want the consequences of their actions, and nor do their surrounding cabinet members and stuff.
For your view on a disputed report here from the Washington Post, we can put it up here on the screen, F3, a push from the Saudis. Israel helped move Trump to attack Iran. Now, this has been internally disputed by Saudi Arabia, saying that they did not push the Trump administration to attack Iran. However, this is clearly an authorized leak from our own government, trying to at least lay some of the blame on behalf of the GCC. True. What do you make of this analysis and of this narrative that Saudi Arabia was also trying to be behind this push to bomb Iran?
So I've always argued that both Saudi Arabia and Israel are heavily invested in regime change in Iran. In fact, Saudi Arabia sees Iran as much more of an existential crisis than Israel. Because remember, Israel still has nuclear weapons, and Israel is a very diverse, very sophisticated economy, whereas Saudi Arabia is completely reliant on oil. And it's always had problems with Iran because Iran is a theocracy opposed to the Saudi monarchy. Iran funds and equips the Houthis, which have been antagonistic towards Saudi Arabia for the longest time.
Why are they opposed to the Saudi line of succession? Is it because they think they have their own?
And right now, the Saudi economy is suffering.
$2 billion to Jared Kushner, Israel?
It's been trying to pivot towards more of a tourist economy. That's why they brought in Ronaldo. That's why they're switching to e-gaming. That's why they're building something called a line, NEOM. And all these things are not working out. So they need to be able to control.
Well, they're not working out because of the way that the world is structured does not allow for people to freely move around it. Billionaires are so short-sighted. If they got together and were like, guys, what if we stayed low billionaires, distributed our wealth elsewhere for now, right? And then later on, it'll trickle back up to us because we're the ones that own all the things they go to. But instead they're like, no, I have to have it all now, way more than I could ever spend in a lifetime. We don't want any longevity to this.
The oil resources of the entire Middle East if they are to survive and thrive as a nation. So I do believe that this reporting is credible, even though it does make Saudi Arabia look bad. But remember, Saudi Arabia says that they wanted peace, but they are helping the Israelis and the Americans attack Iran right now because they're allowing the Israelis and Americans to use Saudi airspace.
So help us understand, because it still feels to me like there's some pieces that don't totally add up. You had, in advance of this war on Iran, you had top military brass up to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying, this is a really bad idea. We are not ready for this. All the math on the interceptors that's been talked about for months at this point. And yet Trump still decided to go ahead.
Yeah. I would like to know who talked him into it as well. I feel like Lindsey Graham, Mike Huckabee, Stephen Miller, maybe Bannon, Netanyahu, obviously. I don't know who else. Does he trust anybody else? It's just Stephen Miller.
What is the...
I don't like the worm tongue stuff, by the way, because it implies Donald Trump would have a better heart if he didn't have Stephen fucking Miller around, and that's obviously not true.
Calculus that he was making here that led him to take what, already appears to be catastrophic actions.
Right, okay. So this is the key question. Why do they do this? I think there are three possibilities, okay? And I think all three possibilities are valid. The first is the idea of hubris. If you look at history,
definitely part of it.
This is how empires behave. So the Mindoro kidnapping was quick, successful, and it was adrenaline rush for Trump. True. And that made him overconfident in the capacity of the American military. Okay, so hubris is a factor, and we see this throughout history.
Ghislaine Maxwell thinks it's a good idea. Yeah, go do that. No one will talk about Epstein for a while.
Hitler invaded Stalin because he conquered Europe really easily, and he thought it was invincible, right? And that led to the destruction of the German army in the Soviet Union. So hubris is a factor. Then you have to look at internal political calculus, where even though America does not benefit from this war against Iran, Trump himself personally benefits. Why? Because the Saudis and the Israelis are bribing him to attack Iran.
That's also true.
Remember that the Saudis invested $2 billion in the private equity fund of Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of Donald Trump. And the Israelis...
$2 billion to his son-in-law.
Through Miriam Adelson.
Yeah. Do you think Jared is supposed to be holding on to any of that?
Have been financing Trump's political career, right? So
do you think Jared pays for dinner and stuff?
Miriam Adelson, a few months back, said that she will put up $250 million if Trump were to run a third term. So Trump is getting a lot of financial and political support from the...
Dude, is he even going to be a fucking live then?
Saudis and Israelis. Also remember that if this war goes sideways, and
when the war goes sideways, it's sideways right now.
Trump is forced to use ground troops.
Yep, right now.
He'll probably get approval from Congress, and this will give him emergency war powers, which will allow him to influence the midterms. So Trump is thinking about a third term. And I think at the ballot box, he probably won't get it. But if there's a war going on and you can delay elections and you have emergency war powers.
Dude, delaying elections would cause riots. Can you imagine? I'm delaying elections. Streets.
And people will rally around the flag. Then he probably will get a third term. And the last factor that...
Wait for the false flag.
Is very important. It's an eschatological factor where, if you look at the Epstein files, it's clear that we are run by secret societies. It's clear that the world is run by these individuals who have a lot of power. We don't know who they are.
No! Here it is. Secret societies. What do you mean we don't know who they are? We do. They're the fucking corporations and the people who own them. Hello? They're right there. We know exactly who they are. Donald Trump is on your mouth right now. Like Palantir, the oil companies. Like, you've already talked about all of it. Now there has to be a secret guy somewhere. Jesus fucking Christ.
They control the military. They control the national security apparatus. And these people, there are different names for these people. You can call them the Illuminati.
Dog, we don't have to do this. Illuminapoly confirmed. We don't have to do this. It delegitimizes all the true shit. I told you, dude. He'll carry on, and you're like, okay, what's the big deal? And then he'll say crazy shit.
And the Illuminati are composed of three major groups, okay? You have the Jesuits, who control the Vatican.
The Jesuits.
You have the Sephardim Frankists, which control the modern state of Israel today. And you have the Freemasons, which control the national security apparatus. of the United States. And they believe that Israel, this war in the Middle East, is key to the end times in creating heaven on earth. So it's almost like a script that they're following, even though it doesn't make any geopolitical sense. Okay, so I would say that these three are the best reasons why this is happening.
Oh, yeah, he loves the conspiracy stuff. Yeah, I don't think the Vatican really has that kind of shit going on anymore. I definitely believe Israel is obviously tied to that. Like, they have religious fanaticism and also fascism tied in with it. Like, they use religious fanaticism to get the religious fanatics to fight for them on behalf of, like, you know, taking the land from these Palestinian people so they can have their big project. But I mean, really, it's a real estate thing. But they use the Jewish flag in the fucking countries, you know, or they use the Jewish symbol, the Star of David, and the Jewish flag, or I'm saying the Jewish flag, Israeli flag, and that makes people conflate the religion with the country, which intentionally at this point stokes anti-Semitism in people who are uninformed rather than like anti-Israeli or anti-Zionist sentiment, which you ought to have. But like just a dummy will be like, oh, the fucking Jews are killing people. And now you have the Fuentes Nazis that are saying that shit. It's not like all of them, man. It's a lot of them, especially in Israel proper. There's a high polling rate of people that agree with things that are going on. But obviously, it's not just like, you know, in their nature. It's in their fucking nurture. They're taught to be this way, just like every other fucking racist has been taught before and colonizer. I mean, a lot of them are victims too, but of themselves. Not all of them are redeemable. Some of them are. Some of them haven't done actual horrible things. And then it's the Freemasons or whatever. It's just the billionaires, man. It's the billionaires. They make money immediately off of certain actions. It's not too hard. The same shit used to happen on a smaller level. You know, it'd be oh, that guy has a special mineral. He has silver or gold in his fucking hills. We're gonna go kill him and take it. Like, that's always how it's been.
Wow. Well, sir, I hope you come back. This was very informative, I think, for both of us. We deeply appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, if you like...
Wow, no pushback whatsoever on the Illuminati stuff. That's okay. That's okay. I pushed back on it. As you can see, he finished with the crazy stuff, but he didn't start there. I agree with a lot of the stuff up front. America, not good. Trump, not good. War, bad. Violence, bad. Capitalism, bad. Subscribing immediately, good. Subscribe immediately.